Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Campus Consortium's grant webinar featuring $150,000 Web and Mobile Campus Grant Award winner, ANA G Mendez University System. In today's presentation, Luis E. Gonzalez will share his journey on how ANA G Mendez University received this grant and how you can also apply for a similar grant. Our presenters include Mr. Luis E. Gonzalez, who is Associate Vice President of Information Systems at ANA G Mendez University System, and Annie Hugh, Vice President, Community Engagement at Campus Consortium. We will take questions at the end of today's presentation that have been typed into the chat box or questions pane in your GoToWebinar control panel. Without further ado, please allow me to present Ms. Hugh and Mr. Gonzalez. Over to you, Ms. Hugh.
Thank you, Roger, for the quick introduction. It's approximately 2:01 Eastern Time in Cleveland, Ohio, and 1 o'clock Central Time in Chicago. Today's session brings together our initiatives or our mission to reduce the cost of education throughout the world. And talking about 2017, we've already awarded more than $10 million in grants to more than 72 institutions globally. We also partner with the government of India to offer grants to somewhere about 35 institutions. So these are the main big achievements for Campus Consortium in today's world. Now, moving forward, we also have Luis on this call. It's an honor for us to have Luis do his grant webinar presentation and also talk about how his journey started into this field or in this partnership with campus and how he moved forward with implementation for POL, mobile, and then eventually what is the roadmap going ahead for whatever their initiative is on campus to drive student engagement and basically analytics. So I'm going to quickly talk a little bit about Luis. Luis is about 38 years in the IT profession with specialty on system development. He started his professional career in IT on the Management Information System Department of the former Digital Equipment Corporation and its manufacturing plant on the city of San German, Puerto Rico, back in summer of 1979. On the higher education market, his first employment was on the Management Information System Department at the Central Administration of Universidad de Puerto Rico. He has also been with ANA G Mendez for the past 33 years, starting as a system and programming manager, and for the past 7 years as an associate vice president of IT. Luis, we're very, very lucky to have you here post Irma and Maria back in Puerto Rico, and I hope everybody's safe. The weather is much better now. And before I pass the presenter controls over to you, I'd like to go with some of the agenda items that we have listed out for today. So I'm just going to quickly talk about the overview of Campus Consortium, who we are, what we do, talk about Campus Consortium, the grant program, funding opportunities, grant award winners. We're going to talk a little bit about, pass the platform over to Luis, have him talk about ANA G, the university system, problem statements and challenges, the consortium's intervention, how they overcame their challenges and problems, and then finally, the open grant opportunities for institutions who joined us today. We'll be taking a couple of questions and then talking about next steps of where you move ahead from here. So a little bit of Campus Consortium. We started back in 2003. We were formulated by 14 universities, including the University of Montana and Case Western Reserve University. It was big time for recession cuts and people couldn't afford implementation or big system technology programs or projects. At that point of time, the consortium partnered to bring on board cost-effective services at greater discounts and managed to tap in. From that day until today, we've ramped up from 14 institutions straight up to 37,000 institutions globally. We're a certified nonprofit institution. One of the things that the Campus Consortium really drives is trust and collaboration between its members and a progressive spirit. Some of these values have also helped us bring about a collective impact on institutions with diverse income streams, budget deductions, or as we see it, the fiscal year budget streamings coming in from year to year. So we treasure the strength and experiences and viewpoints of those who have guided us. Institutions like ANA G in itself have provided guidance, leadership towards the platform in itself, building it up and roadmap, and finally helping campus to reduce the cost of education by not only being a case study for those who've applied for grants, but also for those who are looking to apply for the grant as to how these funds could help institutions going forward. So some of the open opportunities or funding opportunities that we have available starts from single sign-on and identity grant, reduce the stress for your end users to remember multiple usernames and passwords. So therefore you could go for single sign-on identity, which is really, really famous amongst engaging students and giving them a satisfactory response or instant gratification or access to their systems. The next access would be web and mobile, wherein they'll have the same information available to them on the mobile device as well as the web device, or the desktop, as you may say it. Going forward from that would be Studio for Students, which is very unique in itself. Institutions are looking to give their students development platforms to build apps and to look forward. So when you give Studio for Students, the Studio for Students grant, what basically the students get is licenses to develop apps without maximum coding or driving a lot of technical knowledge. It needs to be facilitated in a particular academic term. You need to give your curriculum, and then if the grant committee feels that it's really good, we can go ahead and pass on these 150 student licenses already for the students to build apps, which will be pushed eventually to the app stores. So there are the deadlines in for January 12th, 2018. And we'll be looking for applications from those who've joined us today. Moving on to the next slide. Here are some of the institutions who have actually won the grant award from campus, starting with McKendree University. They won the Mobile Campus and the Campus Safety Grant. We had Lemoyne Owens College get the Help Desk Grant. Southwest Oklahoma State University went with Single Sign-On and Identity. Franciscan University of Steubenville with Single Sign-On and Identity. Phillips Seminary with the same. Delaware Technical Community College went with Campus Safety and Mobile Campus, and so on and so forth with University of Arkansas System, Bryant University, etc. We're going to move on to the next slide. So finally, we have Luis A. Gonzalez, who's the Associate Vice President for Information Systems at ANA G Mendez. I know some of the folks who joined us today are from the Spanish community. So hola, and I think Luis will be the best person to talk to you if you have any questions in Spanish for him. But Luis is here. He'll share his journey and how ANA G Mendez received the grant and how you guys can apply for a similar grant. Luis, if you can hear me, I just want to do a quick audio check and make sure that you have voice controls, and let me know if you're good to go, and I'm going to pass presenter controls as well.
It's an honor for me to be talking to you this afternoon, and for Campus Consortium allowing me to participate as the speaker or co-host in this seminar related to grants, availabilities for other institutions that want to join the consortium. We've been in the consortium since 2009, so it's been quite a journey with Campus Consortium, and currently we are in our 4th year of a 10-year extension contract of all the different services that we currently are using from Campus Consortium. A little bit of ANA G Mendez University System. Our university system was founded in 1949. Currently, we are the largest private university system in Puerto Rico. We have approximately 41,900 students. They are spreading between 17 locations in Puerto Rico and 6 locations in continental USA. The ANA G Mendez University, basically, we've been an Illusion Banner client for the past 27 years. We do have all the older system like development, student information system, financial aid, human resources, and finance. Plus, there are different self-services modules. We also are a Blackboard client. Right now, we're running on a mixed environment in which we have hosted with Blackboard, managed hosting, the platform that is used by our U.S. branch campuses, and also one of our 4 universities, which is University ANA G Mendez, which is a virtual campus. And the Puerto Rico locations are using a Blackboard platform in our premises. But currently, we're in the process of migrating our whole Blackboard operation to Blackboard managed hosted. We also use Microsoft Office 365 for both providing not only email and calendar to our students and faculty and staff, but also OneDrive and all the other different services provided through Office 365. As you mentioned, Angie mentioned, we started with the portal solution back in 2009. That was called My Campus. And later on, we also engage and sign and acquire and license the mobile applications. We're using single sign-on for all the student services, electronic services that they do have. Between our institutions, basically, as I mentioned before, Universidad del Este, which is was basically how the university system was founded. Back in 1949, was called Puerto Rico Junior College, a 2-year college, and became later a 4-year and master degree level institution. Universidad Metropolitana, Universidad del Turabo, and the youngest one, Universidad G Mendez, which is the virtual campus. Between all of them, around 211 undergraduate programs between technical, associates, and bachelor degrees, 96 master's degree programs, and 8 doctoral degree programs. We do also, although currently it's closed because of the after effects of Maria passing through Puerto Rico, we do have a television station affiliated with the PBS in the U.S. Next, please. There you can see the names of the institutions. As you see, each of them, even though we're a university system, each of the university, they have their own identity, their own name. They have their own branding. And you can see that in the map of, in the top map in the right-hand side is the island of Puerto Rico. And you can see the areas or the cities where we have a campus located. The colors means all of those are like in a field color. They are locations which belongs to Universidad del Este. The one is like an orange is Universidad del Turabo, and the one that is like a dark red pink is Universidad Metropolitana. After you can see the map of the continental U.S. campus. We have 3 of them in the state of Florida, in the Orlando area, in South Florida, in the Miramar area, and in Tampa. We have another 2 locations in the capital area campus in Wheaton, Maryland, and we do have a small culinary art school, which is located in the same Washington, D.C. city. The youngest of those U.S. campuses is in the city of Dallas. We have an enrollment around 35,000 students in 3,500 students in the U.S. among the 41,100 of the total enrollment. Next, please. Now I'm going to talk to you a little bit of why we decided to engage with Campus Consortium. Okay, as most of the institutions, one of our biggest problems has been budget, having enough funds allocated to be able to do the different projects that we need in terms of investment in technology. So Campus Consortium back in 2009, they contacted us, and we started talking about their portal solution, and which was a solution that we have been working about 2 or 3 years before with Illusion, at that time called SAT or Sangha Higher Education, trying to see if we acquire their Luminous solution as our portal. But when we analyze the solution proposed by Campus Consortium in terms of the portal solution, we saw the robustness of the platform, the easy to use and easy to implement platform, and also that it has all the capabilities of implementing single sign-on to our ERP system, our banner, Blackboard, and also at that moment it was called Live at PBU, but then later on to Office 365. So that was one of the major reasons why we decided to engage with Campus Consortium with their portal solution. At the same time, we were looking to a place in which our student primarily could access and find every information they needed as part of their life in our institutions. Have a single, a central repository of documents like policies, manuals, procedures. So to make sure that all the students were looking at the latest version of the document. As I mentioned, also a single sign-on solution to access to their electronic services like Service Banner, Blackboard, and also the Office 365. And not having to worry of remembering different users and passwords from the different, for the different system. And give them the capability of having a space, like a community space that they could share among each other. Okay. One of the challenges that we had initially was also to have our students affairs vision to really engage on this project since the early beginning. Normally, and I think it happens in a lot of institutions, normally this type of products, most of the officers seems to look at them as an IT project. And this is not really an IT project. IT should be and is just a facilitator and making things work. But the engagement in terms of building what's going to be the portal, what's going to contain the portal, is something that has to come from the user perspective and from the student services perspective, not really from the IT perspective. Next, please. So with the engagement with Campus Consortium and receiving the first grant that allow us then to implement adopt the solution, the portal solution, and implement and put on services the portal solution, we were able to find, and we initiated, and this is something very important, we initiated with a single node architecture in which all the portals for our 4 universities that were going to reside in the same platform. But at the same time, it was very important for each of the institutions that they could have their own branding, that they could have their own color scheme in terms of presentation of the pages, that the students, the constituents from their university were gonna see it and access the information. So in that sense, with the portal solution that came with the concept of community, we were able to create a community for each of our universities, and each of those communities we were able to create, with the help of Campus Consortium technical team, we were able to create a theme for each of those communities, so that when the student log on, if it's a student from Universidad del Este, he's going to be seeing the portal with the colors and the branding of his or her university, and vice versa. Throughout the years, we have increased or engaged in more projects with Campus Consortium. Right now, we're running on an 8-node architecture, in which we have 2 CAS servers, 4 application servers, and 2 database servers to make sure that the response time for our students and for our community accessing the portal was really what they needed, and with a fast response and have no latency, and make sure also that we had a 7/24, 365 availability in terms of the portal, in terms of the access to the portal. So also beside that 8-node architecture, we also implemented with them what they call the real-time directory sync, so that when the student is logging out into the portal using the AD credentials, the login process, it seems seamless, and if a new account has been created, the student will be able to access almost instantaneously the portal. Also, we implemented with them another venture that we did. We classified our banner search service so that the experience of accessing each of the options in banner search service through the banner deep link, that the student would not notice the transition between moving from the portal to the operation of the transaction that's going to be performing in banner search service. And basically the same thing with Blackboard and Office 365. Later on, we also engage with them what we call banner group sync, which is a process that based on some characteristic of the student record in banner, we are able to create groups and assign groups to the students, which allow them to also to do some of the functions that the students will be accessed can be according to the group that the student belongs. So some of those are the engagement that we have done with Campus EAI and Campus Consortium. Initially at our time it was called Campus EAI. By the beginning of November, the end of October, we migrated after Maria. We migrated to version 7.9 of Unified Looking Glass. And we're currently, we're going to start working to modifying, to work toward the unified version 8 of the portal solution and start benefiting from the unified platform in which we can leverage applications, apps that are available on the mobile apps that can also be integrated to the portal, and the student have access no matter what. All the pages in the portals are responsive, so depending on the device that the student is using, the view of the page of the portal adjusts to that device with no problem. Another project that we're going to be starting with them is also implementing the unified identity and single sign-on solution to be able also to manage through the portal a better way of implementing single sign-on, not only to the existing applications that we have on the portal, but some new applications that could come along the way. Next. So with the solution provided with Campus Consortium, we have able to achieve that each of our universities, they have their own portal. Okay, can you see the desktop right now? If you can see the desktop right now, what you're seeing is one of the view of one of the portals for the Universidad del Dorado. And you can see basically the constructions. We try to make it very simple for the students to find the information, and one thing that we pay close attention is for the student not having to do more than 3 clicks to get the information that they need. This portal here is where you have access to the different applications or services available from Banner Search Service. This is basically, and you can see that basically it's very almost instantaneous and with very little slack in terms of latency, in terms of the connection to the search service in Banner. We have combined different, we're using the portlet of My Communities. As you can see, you're going to see the labels in Spanish, because that was something that we worked with Campus Consortium to make it more for our Spanish-speaking audience. And we added the communities portlet so that if the student if the student transferred from one university to the other, he will be able to move to the previous institutions and see his information if required. Okay, I'm gonna show you another one. This is a portal that is used mostly by the staff. As you can see, different branding also. And here they have access to the different electronic services, Banner IMB for each of the institutions, and to Office 365, we use OnBase, we use Argos, our dashboard, and some of the other electronic services available for the faculty and the staff. Also, they can log on into our help desk to register an incident or request a service. This one here is for human resources, in which basically it doesn't have a lot of information. Here's an iframe that is a document. The way that I set up my browser, any PDF goes directly to my my drive to save it. But here, what they do is that they want the staff to be able to access the human resources manual, the faculty manual, and some of the documents like policies or executive orders, and so on and so forth, and some of the applications that we have developed internally to be able to access their check stop, payment check stop, and also W-2 forms. Okay. In here, it's the communities. And here you can see the different communities that we have available. This is the student portal community for the ANA G Mendez virtual campus. And you can see it has a totally also different image and look and feel as the one that we previously saw of Universidad Turabo. This is for the faculty of the Universidad ANA G Mendez, so that they can have access to their services. Being a virtual university, most of our faculty is also virtually accessing the system virtually. So it was very important for them to have access to the services. We have here guest is where we implemented on the private pages of guest. We implemented the portal for the staff, and we have here for Universidad del Este, Universidad Turabo, and Universidad Metropolitana. And here's the portal of Universidad Metropolitana, once again, with their branding, their logo, and similar construction, but still giving them the space to be able to design and present their portal, the information as they feel like. In this portal is integrated the Google Calendar, and that our institution is each of the institutions, they have a Google Calendar account, and that's where they post all the activities that are going to be at the institution has or is going to be offering. If you like, we can go back to the presentation. I apologize because I'm not being able to show you how our mobile apps looks like. My account to Unified Studios, I forgot the password and I was having difficulty resetting them. So But I would be available if anyone wants to see them. I would be available later on. We can have another session. You can contact me, and I can show you a little bit in terms of the mobile apps applications. Okay, so I think basically that's what I have. The journey with Campus Consortium has been really good, and I think the best way to describe it is the signage that we did 4 years ago to have a 10-year contract with Campus Consortium for all the services that we has already available with them in production. And we continue engaging in new projects. Like I mentioned, we're looking at the unified identity and single sign-on identity provider module. And we're also going to be, once we implement that, we're going to be looking at the password manager, quick launch password manager, newer version, also to implement multi-factor authentication. So we continue leveraging with them and expanding the functionalities available to for our students and faculty, so that they can get more benefit. One of the best experience that we have with them has been also that we have found that it's an organization that is always keeping in pace with the changes of the new technology and making sure that they can provide it to the institution in a very reasonable price. Okay, it's not necessarily free, but compared with some other alternative, it comes with a very reasonable price. They're very proactive. Their NOC is really effective. They are always making sure that all the platform is working correctly. One of the moves that they made since we started, that initially they hosted their portals on a data center in Cleveland. They moved to AWS, and since the move into the AWS, the difference in terms of reliability, stability of operations has been outstanding. So I do encourage all of those institutions that they are thinking of engaging, that not to be afraid. Okay, in terms of the decision that we will be making, it's going to be a very good decision. That has been our experience, and with some other institutions that I've been able to share also, and they also feel the same way. Is there any questions right now?
I think one of the questions that we have from the audience is, what was the implementation time frame for the portal and the mobile platforms, and of course, how much task involvement was there from your IT team versus the vendor that was provided to you?
Okay. Yes, in terms of the implementation, when we started with the portal, it was a little bit slow because initially we selected to start the implementation of the portal for the Universidad de G Mendez University, which at that moment was preparing to underwent through the accreditation process of the local Puerto Rico Council of Higher Education, and also through of the Middle State Collegiate Association in the East Coast of the U.S. And so it took us about I would say it took us about a couple of years to be able to have the portal for Universidad G Mendez ready. Once they were ready for presenting it to the accreditation agencies. But once we saw that the process with the Universidad G Mendez was going to take a little bit longer, we decided then to start in parallel the implementation for Universidad del Este, which was one of the four institutions, or the other two, the other three institutions that expressed more willingness to work together with us in building the portal. Okay, so in that regard, the building of the portal, it really doesn't take a lot if you have the right team and the backup of the student services area to provide the content and to do the editing of the content to make sure that everything's working okay. I would say that after we started the project with Campus CAI, in about 2 or 3 weeks, we already had, in terms of access to banner search service and the electronic services, things were already working in place. What took longer was for the institution first to realize how to best organize the information, because they always were thinking in an organizational chart way of building the portal. And it took me a while to make them understand that that's not the best way to do it, because the student basically doesn't know what is the vice chancellorship of Students Affairs. It's really interested in where are the policies, how do I do my registration, where are the bylaws. And so what you saw a little bit in terms of what I show you in terms of the construction, it took quite a while, okay, for the university to understand that, and through several iterations before we felt that we have a portal that the student will receive it with eagerness, and will find pleasure in logging into the portal. Okay, so but in terms of the engagement with the Campus Consortium, making the solution available, making it already to work properly, it's something that can be done in terms of weeks or probably 1 month at the most. It's really the other work in terms of providing contents and organizing things that takes a little bit more. Okay. Once we came out with Universidad del Este, the other two, they saw it. We basically, what we did initially was a copy into their theme and branding of what we have already developed for Universidad del Este, and that make it a little more easier. They just have to make some tweaks and probably change wordings, because believe me or not, they're very picky in that. Each of the institutions, they think that they can express it, or the writing can be much better understood for the student population than from the other university.
Thank you, Luis, for the answer to that question. And then I just want to quickly move away back to campus. So I'm going to go over to the grant programs once again for folks who joined us today. ANA G Mendez was a web and mobile campus grant recipient. You have, over the times and what institutions need from time to time, we've enhanced the grant programs. So now we're giving away a cumulative grant reward of $384,000 for 5 years. And this covers basically 25 active user licenses. It covers professional services. It covers up to 3 single sign-on for implementation and custom branding in your theme or logo, whatever you need to get on there. So this not only gives you the portal side, but also the mobile side. So what you see is going to be on a single platform. If you wish to apply for this grant, you may download the grant application by simply clicking on the link. You will get a copy of these slides to your email as a follow-up. You can also send in the grant application to campusconsortium.org with the stipulated requirements, or simply email it to us. The grant deadline is on January 12th, 2018. Moving forward to the next slide, the second set of grants that we have available is for single sign-on and identity. This comes with an identity provider, so folks who have problems with integration to different authentication protocols. You should be happy because this talks to different authentication protocols, so it doesn't matter which system you're using and what it talks, it will integrate. Apart from that, this also covers implementation for up to 3 single sign-on applets. It also covers active user licenses, and you may want to beef this up with the multi-factor authentication or a password manager to suit your needs. If you wish to go ahead and apply for this grant, please follow the same instructions as on the slide. Either go to the website link and download the grant application from there, or simply send an email to grant application campusconsortium.org, and a grant officer will get in touch with you. The last grant that we have available up to January 12th is Studio for Students. I mentioned this at the beginning of the session. This grant is giving away $7 million over 5 years in licensing and implementation. It's very interesting to see that it will give away licenses for 150 students in an academic term, or license for the entire class roster for up to 3 credits and a lot more. So if you wish to give your students a platform to go ahead and build apps, you may apply for this grant. If you get finalized, we'll go ahead and push you through. Again, if you wish to apply for this grant, you may go to the website or simply download, and a grant officer will get in touch with us. That's it for today's session. This is Annie here. Would like to thank Louis, and signing off from Campus Consortium. Bye-bye.